And so we're going to actually start with, we're really reconvening the Education Committee and an Education Work Group. We can do an introduction. You're not too late to do an introduction.
Good afternoon. Introducing myself, I'm Angela Brown. I'm introducing myself to the work group as a community leader as well as a human service professional. So I'm excited to be a part of the collaborative of change.
Well, that's of clarity at the end of 2 hours.
So again, New Deal for StPete actually is a product emphasis on the budget and budgetary priorities. And one of the campaigns that when we first started PBR was, this was like coming out of the recession and starting to make recovery, and they were still making decisions about how to spend money, and they were looking to cut funding oddly enough to libraries. Some committees took off and excelled, and then other committees stalled, and this is one of the committees that actually stalled for various different reasons. There's a lot of moving parts, a lot of things that are happening in the community around education, as with affordable housing. So it's a lot of these initiatives, and one of the things that we didn't want to do was reinvent the wheel and say, okay, well, we're going to just do something that's already been done or duplicate efforts. And so we focused heavily on the convening of a conference for workforce development to bring together employers and industry, like upcoming industries. But again, the committee, we were just competing with life. This is a volunteer effort. Nobody in the room is being paid to be here, right? So working with volunteers to pull this off has been a challenge. Organizing, and so the backing for it, that's how we were able to buy the signs and do all of the other stuff that we were able to do. And so they're no longer funding community organizing, and so we're no longer employed by SEIU Florida. But we brought work
at
all. Yeah, well, that's news to you, right? So they,
national thing, right?
Yeah, it's a national thing. So they stopped statewide community organizing in Florida. They have other community organizing programs, but they'll be focusing specifically on membership because of this recent Supreme Court decision that basically made public sector employees right to work, and they've started losing members. And so the focus is going to be on how do they survive as a union, basically.
So they don't have money to go around organizing.
Right, to do community or external community organizing. And so they cut the funding to the program throughout the state of Florida. But I'm actually kind of encouraged by it because there's been a lot of other opportunities that have presented itself since then. And like we said, the work, we brought a body of work to SEIU. And the blessing of bringing things is when you go, you can take it with you. So it's like when we pack up our boxes, one of the boxes that we're packing up is the New Deal for StPete. And it'll be going with us, and we're going to continue to organize under that banner. We do own the name to New Deal for StPete, so all of the legalities and all that stuff has been handled. So
Are you
the New Deal
still
for StPete.
the training center?
Yes, and Community Development Training Center, yes.
Okay.
So we have a nonprofit that Jabbar and I started in 2014, which was always the mission. That was always kind of the goal, was to have our nonprofit up and be able to house this work. But then we got headhunted by SEIU, and when you get a job, sometimes your baby or your projects get put on the shelf. So we've been running them parallel. But now we're going to really specifically focus on CDAT and building the Community Development and Training Center with your support, of course. And again, that also gives us a little more flexibility with the way that we operate. And so we're really excited about that. And again, the Education Committee.
And I'm also now the representative, the NAACP StPete, one of the two representatives on the DMAC, which is everybody familiar with the DMAC is? The DMAC, are you familiar with the Bradley case? The school board was sued by the Legal Defense Fund of the NAACP in '64 for refusing to integrate. It's still not settled. Yesterday, I was at yet another meeting from the LDF, legal defense fund, because they're going back again to get an MOU, a memo of understanding, to say, what are you doing, school board? There are 7 factors of that lawsuit that says, school district, you will do these things. Faculty, administration, quality of education is a big one. So they've had memo of understanding after memo of understanding. There's actually two cases. There's one against the state called the Crowley case. The second one, the Bradley case, is federal. So a federal judge back in 2000,
So you know what
I
I'm thinking,
believe.
just from a facilitator perspective, I know I'm interrupting,
yeah,
and
we
please give me
time.
permission right now, I'm going to interrupt throughout,
Yeah.
just so you know, because I'm thinking about the 2 hours. This stuff is liquid gold. I mean, everybody
Yeah.
should know this stuff, and if you're not familiar with these,
I'll
great
tell you
to
later.
follow up. Yes, and certainly with CoQuebs being, you know, a real
Yes.
steward of this process too, right? So, and I think what we'll wind up doing, and I'm thinking already, as I hear things you've already talked about, some of the things that are happening, we'll get to the question where we say, what else is going on? And there are both opportunities and also some of the realities that we want to keep in mind.
And they say, this is what we have, this is what we want. And you don't look at it under a lens of, oh, we just don't have it because we understand there's problems, but it's about us taking control over what we have based on the assets and the needs of the people. And there's some real change that's been made all over the country. My favorite is in New York City, when they transformed Harlem just because there was a need, you understand? And the education was changed, the health outcomes were changed, the living was changed. We're only talking about, you know, people needing and desiring change with a little bit of influence from the powers, but more so with needs and connections too, if that makes sense.
What's in place in St. Pete.
So that'll
So
go
let's
to your,
put
to your-
innovation technology again, emphasis as one of the needs to make sure that we're focusing.
There's STEM and coding that take place, that takes
parents and the communities what they want. We all have this idea of what we want, but we don't go back and ask them what they want, and I see that every day. And then also with, like you said, I think statistics is great. I'm a numbers person. I'm going to school for accounting. But when we start thinking more political, it fades out of the importance.